Judy.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Case number 2068, Automatis versus Albrecht.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Albrecht, I'm going to start with you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You are the current live-in boyfriend of the plaintiff's ex-wife?
Soon to be.
Of the plaintiff's wife.
Correct.
Mr. Adamus's complaint is that as a result of you making a call to the police, he was defamed when you said that he was trespassing. It was a false call to the police, and he wants to be compensated to the tune of $2,500. That's what the case is about. So in order to make this whole thing in context that I understand, how long have you been living with Mrs. Adamus?
Since June of 21.
How long do you know her?
Since January of 21.
Have you ever been married?
Yes, I have.
When and for how long?
Previously to April of this year, I was married for 15 years.
So you were married when you moved in with Mrs. Adamus?
Yeah.
Legally?
Legally.
Did you own your own home?
I did.
With your then wife?
Correct.
Did she stay in the house?
She did.
Does she have a boyfriend?
Yes, she does.
Do you like him?
No, I do not.
Does he live in the house?
Not at this time.
Did he ever?
Yes, he did.
And you didn't like it?
No, I did not.
Judy grins.
So I want you to understand that there is maybe a reason why the plaintiff resents you living in a house that he owns with his still wife, and you're living there. Do you understand?
I do.
Because you sort of have the same situation. You're kindred spirits. Actually, you're kindred spirits.
Except my 15-year-old son also lives with this young man.
So who cares?
Oh.
Well, that's all right. But you understand why he might be annoyed.
I do, but...
Okay. So now, understanding all that, I want you to tell me, because I'm not totally sympathetic with you, sir, because if you and your wife are divorcing, you're entitled to move on with your life, and so is she entitled to move on with your life. Where do you live? You live in an apartment?
I live in a condominium.
Okay. How long have you lived in the condo?
I've lived when we separated March of 2021.
And who do you live with?
I currently live with my...
No. Who do you live with is the question.
My older son.
And how old is he?
19.
And how many bedrooms are in the condo?
2.
And what about you? Have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do.
Ever stay over?
My house? No.
Do you ever stay at her house?
No.
Does she live with her children?
Yes.
And is she divorced?
Yes.
And she stayed in the house?
Yes.
You see how all these things go? It's just as the world turns. It's just what happens. I've been there. Understand it all. Can either make it hard or difficult. Who pays the mortgage on the house?
Paid off.
Okay. So you have one teenage child, your wife has the other.
Yes.
And how close is the judgment to divorce to being finalized?
Not close.
Not close. Is that for financial reasons or custody reasons?
Financial.
Had to do with the house?
Yes.
Okay. How much is the house? I'm just fleshing this out.
Speculating.
Probably because I'm a little bit of a yenta. Behind this purple robe is a little bit of a...
You know, with the housing market, being a CPA, you know, it's hard to say, you have to do, but I would say somewhere...
Why don't you give Sarah the address of the house, and we'll tell you what this estimate is.
California.
While she's looking that up, tell me when you and your wife purchased it.
2006, August of 2006.
And during the course of the marriage, were you employed all the time?
100%.
And what about your wife?
100%.
So you were both employed and both contributed to the house. Fair statement?
Yes.
Great. Okay.
It's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. The estimate is $552,000.
And just for my own curiosity, what's the rub about the house?
The rub
Come
about
on, it's simple.
The rub about the house is she's now went in and spent an ungodly amount of money on fixer-upper after I moved out and went into a massive amount of debt. The house was fully paid off, and she's now in massive debt. She's put in fixer-upper.
No, don't look at her.
Okay, that's
look
what
at me.
Okay.
So she's fixed up the house after you moved out.
Correct.
And?
It's not a problem.
Just a second. So what's the problem?
There is no problem with the house. meaning that we're still debating who's actually going to end up with the house. We haven't decided.
Well, whoever wants to be in the house buys the other one out.
Exactly.
For $260,000.
Correct.
Okay? It would seem to me that would be easy.
I think so.
Okay. Now that I've satisfied the yenta in me, I'm getting back to the case. All right. He called the police. This incident, according to what I read, Mr. Adamus, happened on November 5th.
Correct.
You went to the house to pick up your son.
Correct.
Okay. Was that a meeting that had been arranged before?
I have visitation every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks when?
Every other weekend.
Well, so was this a weekend?
Yes, that was one where I was going to go pick him up.
Okay. Had you spoken to him?
Yes.
And so he was expecting you to come at a certain time?
Absolutely.
What time?
Approximately there, we'd arranged about 7:15, that 7:15, 7:30 that night.
Okay. And you had visitation fixed by the court, and you had been enjoying that with your son for a period of time?
Correct.
Okay. What happened when you got there at 7:15?
Well, on that particular visit, my wife had taken his key to the house, and I had...
No. I told you, don't look at her.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, okay.
I'm getting sympathetic with her. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
7:15, you went to pick up your son, and you were annoyed because your wife had taken your son's key away from him.
Correct.
And you thought your son should have his key because he was
Correct.
15.
Yes.
And?
So at that particular time, I
No, don't look down.
Okay, look at me. I went into the house. I'd never been in that house since I moved out, and so I wanted.
How did you get into the house?
The door was open.
Okay, the door isn't wide open. You mean it was unlocked?
Unlocked.
Okay, so let's not say the door was open.
Okay,
the door was unlocked.
Correct.
Door was unlocked. You don't live there anymore. You live in a condo.
Correct.
Okay, did you ring the bell?
No.
Knock at the door?
Yes.
Nobody, but there's a bell.
answered.
There's a bell.
There was a bell.
There's a bell.
Yes.
Didn't ring the bell. Open the door. Now, open the door.
Yes.
Your house, I own half of it. I'm going to ask my wife a question.
Yes.
Keep going.
Walked into the house. At that particular time, she is sitting there with my son. At that particular time, I asked her to get a copy of the key, and we became into an argument. She didn't want me to have a copy of the key. And I tried to explain to her, without a copy of the key, he can't get in the house. If I drop him off at odd hours, then you don't have to be home. So then she got upset. At that point, then I never met Mr. Albrecht before this time. He comes storming down the stairs. Mr. Albrecht is then, I think Mr. Albrecht's coming to beat me up. He is storming down the stairs. I have since learned that Mr. Albrecht...
Just stop.
Okay.
Just pay careful attention to me. So far, you're in the wrong.
Okay.
Now, let me just tell you.
Okay.
So far, from a legal perspective...
Right.
...and a common sense perspective...
Okay.
...you're in the wrong. I'll explain why in a second.
So I walk into that house.
We got past that.
Okay.
We got past that. So now you want a copy of the key, and she says no. I don't care if you want to give it to your parakeet.
Okay.
You're not entitled to a copy of the key.
Okay.
Let's start right there.
Okay.
And let's start with my first point is if you're going there to pick up your son for a prearranged visit,
Yes.
you don't walk into the house. You have a 15-year-old son. A 15-year-old son has a phone.
I tried to call him, yes.
Oh, you tried to call him. What happened?
He said he was there, that he said...
Be very careful what you say to me.
Okay, he
You
was
called
there.
your son.
And I called my son, be ready to go. He said, okay, I'm ready to go.
That was at about 7 o'clock.
Yes, approximately.
What do you mean, yes, approximately?
Yeah, I was probably on my way to pick him up. And so when I come up there, I call him on the phone.
Okay, he's ready to go.
Yes, are you ready to go?
Okay, so you walked in.
Okay.
You had no right to enter the house.
Did not know that.
Well, you had no right to enter the house. You knew that your wife changed the locks.
I did not know at that time she had changed the lock because the door was open. I had not been
No. Listen to me. You went there because... Mr. Adonis, you have to be a two-process thinker, sir, before you give me a lot of baloney.
Frank grins. Caption coming up.
You knew that your old key didn't open the house. Otherwise, you would have said, your mother took away your key. I'll make you another key from my copy.
True.
True. Of course it's true. So, you know.
And later today.
I wasn't allowed to live with my dad and stepmom because they moved into a 55 and over neighborhood.
When?
They...
If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Frank and Willie.
Frank Automitis claims his wife's boyfriend, Willie Albrecht, wrongfully called the police while visiting his own house.
Okay, if you needed a copy of the key to a house that you partially own,
Yes,
you would have had a key to the house.
correct.
You didn't need a copy to make because you would have had one.
Okay.
So you knew that your old key didn't open the house. Otherwise, you would have said, your mother took away your key. I'll make you another key from my copy.
True.
True, of course it's true. So, so he called the police and he said you were trespassing.
No, he didn't say that at all.
What did he say?
He said he told me I was trespassing. Then he called on the phone, and when he's on the phone with the police department, he is telling them that I am now committing domestic violence. Now, that is a very serious charge. I mean, okay, we can debate about my access to the house, but when you call the police and say that I'm committing domestic violence, which is a crime in the state of California, that's a game changer. So
I want to ask you a question, Mr. Adonis. When you walked into the house and you saw your wife and your son, I want to know, when you walked in uninvited,
True.
your first words were, I want a copy of the key. That's what you said. You said, I want a copy of the key. Would you read that back to me, please, Whitney?
I'll go with that.
At that particular time, I asked her to get a copy of the key, and we became into an argument.
So now you're in an argument and you're a trespasser. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Okay.
This court is adjourned.
Frank, then Willie.
Very, very shocking.
She's absolutely correct, as she usually is.
I had no idea this was going to blow up into World War III.
Because he's all about winning. He didn't get his way. He was throwing a temper tantrum.
I feel that he's just trying to do whatever he can to keep me out of the picture.
He lives by his own rules.
He just simply wants me out of the way so he could take over.
Let the courts decide.
Judy and Sarah.
It's always so unfortunate when people divorce. I mean, the story is this. I could have written the script without even listening to the people. But they have two teenage boys, 15, 19 years old. One's chosen to live with the father. One's chosen to live with the mother. Clearly, the son said to him, Mom took away my key. Mm-hmm. She clearly took away his key for a reason. Mm-hmm. I didn't even want to get into what the reason was, but clearly she took away the key for a reason. Otherwise, she doesn't look like an unreasonable person. Her boyfriend doesn't look like an unreasonable guy. And he was flexing his muscles. Mm-hmm. And the fight is over the house, because I gather that's the only real asset they have. Yeah. Anyway, unfortunate when people don't realize that they have to love their children more than they hate each other.
So true.
Case 2069, Hastings versus Kammer. All parties, please step forward.
Ryan Hastings is suing his former roommates, Peyton Kammer, for his security deposits, personal belongings, and filing a false restraining order.
Mr. Hastings, you and the defendant were roommates? I'm not quite understanding.
Yes, correct.
Clearly, whether you were roommates or in a relationship. What was it?
It was just roommates.
When did you start to be roommates?
In September of 2020.
Did you know each other before?
Yes.
How?
We were just friends that met at a party and hung out often.
Starting when?
That was in December of 2019.
And what made you decide to room together?
We were both looking for a place to live, so since we both needed that, we found this apartment together.
2 bedrooms?
Correct.
And you moved in with animals,
Correct.
I understand from the complaint.
Correct.
Cats?
Yes.
How many?
I had 2.
I had to.
I didn't ask you anything yet. You had 2. And Miss Kammer had 2. Any other animals?
No.
So you started to live together during COVID.
Correct.
Were you working?
Yes.
Was Miss Kammer working?
Yes.
What was the rent on the apartment?
It was $13.65.
And you each paid half.
Correct.
So far, correct? Was everything okay in 2020? September, October, November, December?
As far as rent?
No, as far as the living arrangement.
Oh, in 2020, yeah, we just had many squabbles, but overall, we were just fine.
I'm going to ask you the same question. In 2020, everything okay?
No.
What happened in 2020?
It was emotional warfare since I moved in with him. There was arguments with everything, even simple things like cleaning the dishes, just nonstop. I was terrified of him living with him. I couldn't bring anything up without it being an argument.
Okay, so prior to moving in with Mr. Hastings, where did you live?
With my parents.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Is this the first time you had an apartment?
Yes.
And how far away were your parents from this apartment?
Probably like 10 minutes.
If you were terrified, you should have moved home.
I wasn't allowed to.
You weren't allowed to because?
Because I wasn't allowed to live with my dad and stepmom because they moved into a 55 and over neighborhood.
When?
They...
If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
They moved in a little after I moved into my apartment. I moved into my apartment to prepare for them moving out.
I just don't want to hear drama. If you had fights over who's going to clean the dishes, I don't want to hear terrified unless you're terrified. And if you're terrified and you're 21 years old, you go back to where you came from, to your parents' house. If you're terrified, may not have liked it, but that's just kid drama. So, squabbles in 2020. Your lawsuit says that she disposed of your belongings. She filed a restraining order.
Yes.
As a result of the restraining order, you were evicted from the apartment.
Yes.
It was a false restraining order. You hired a lawyer to appeal the finding of the judge.
Yes.
That you had harassed her because this restraining order was based on harassment.
Yes.
May I see a copy of it, please?
I have a copy of the restraining order.
Of the order or what it was based on?
It said what it has the whole thing. It says what it was based on.
Yeah, I see what she has. It doesn't look like it was what it was based on. You do a write-up of what it was based on.
Judy reviews a document.
On the front page, in a little box, it has a little description of what happened.
Okay. So the judge who heard this case, and I'm assuming everything in this write-up is true. On the above date, which was the 7th of September, 2021, on the above date and time, defendant and the plaintiff engaged in a verbal argument over household chores. The defendant then made comments to the plaintiff that he would go crazy on her and raised his fist. The defendant stated this multiple times and started shaking in anger, causing the plaintiff to be in fear for her life. And you had a hearing on this?
Yes.
You had a hearing on this. You told this to a judge?
Yes.
Yes.
I want you to tell me what you told the judge, or did you tell the judge anything?
I told the judge that I was raising my voice, but I was standing a good amount of distance away from her at the time, and that I was shaking because I wasn't being listened to, and that was it. There was no physical interaction there, only verbal interaction.
Caption, coming up.
Did the judge say to you, how would you describe shaking in anger because you weren't being listened to?
I was shaking just because I was angry. I was just trying to keep my composure.
Well, that would frighten me.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ryan and Peyton.
Ryan Hastings claims his former roommate, Peyton Kammer, owes for a security deposit and personal belongings. Peyton is countersuing for rent and emotional distress.
Now, tell me, did the judge say to you, how would you describe shaking in anger because you weren't being listened to?
Can you repeat that question?
I don't know how you were shaking. You mean you...
I was shaking as in, like, I was shaking just because I was angry. I wasn't being listened to. I was trying to keep my composure, so I was just shaking.
Well, that would frighten me. Actually, I don't know whether I'd put you out of your house, but that would frighten me. Mr. Hastings, where are you living now?
I just moved into a new apartment.
With whom?
Myself.
Better?
Yes, and my cats.
Perfect. Yourself and your cats. Great. Now, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Hastings, if that happened to me with a man who was larger than I was, that might frighten me if he appeared out of control. So I'm dismissing that part of your complaint, which seeks damages for a false restraining order.
Okay.
What you actually just testified to me, and I took everything that she said in her complaint against you. I didn't even have to ask her. I wanted to know what you told the judge.
Of course.
Then it was a reasonable issuing of a protective order, just to make sure that it appeared to me what you were testifying to is that she couldn't tell the difference whether you were composing yourself or whether you were out of control. Okay, so it was...
May I interject and just say that the restraining order was repealed and remanded, saying that the court did not find sufficient evidence to impose the order. And
whether it was or not, I don't care what... I'm not sitting as an appellate court.
Okay.
I'm sitting as a trier of fact for the first time in your civil action. And what you told me, in my judgment, was sufficient for a judge to say, you know, I don't want to preside over an assault case or a homicide case. This guy says he was shaking. She says he was shaking in anger. You say I was shaking to try to maintain my composure. Well, I'm not going to worry about them. Let him go find someplace else to live, which is what he did. So I think that that's reasonable. Money owed for return of security deposit. Now, he was put out of the apartment. He put in security deposit.
Correct.
And he was put out of the apartment. How much security deposit did he put in?
$682.
Are you still living in the apartment?
I am.
Okay. When he moved out of the apartment as a result of this restraining order, was there any damage in the apartment that he caused?
No.
Then you have to give him back his $682, because any damage that would have resulted since he moved out would be your damage, okay? That's fair enough. $682, that's your security deposit, sir. Return of belongings. Okay, so when you were told that you had to vacate the apartment, tell me what belongings you left in the apartment which you think she still has, which belong to you.
I do not believe she has anything of mine left in that apartment.
Well, what do you think she owes you for?
I am seeking the money for those items because they were thrown away.
What items?
So I had a bed.
Just a second.
Yeah.
You had a bed and there was a major flea problem in the apartment as a result of your cats.
Correct.
Okay, she threw away the bed. What else?
Okay. There was a Nintendo Switch.
Do you know what that is?
Nintendo Switch? I never found that. I believe he took that the night with him.
Okay, she didn't have it. She didn't throw it away. What else?
I also had a hookah that was in there.
What, a hookah?
Yeah.
Do you have his hookah?
No.
Go. What's next? Okay, if you have to think about it that hard.
I'm sorry.
Sir, we're finished. She owes you back your security deposit.
Okay.
That's $682. You have a counterclaim. Most of it is nonsense. Your counterclaim for emotional distress. Forget that. Only one emotionally distressed usually in this room is me. Money owed for the month's rent, for a final month's rent. What is that?
He didn't pay the month of September. He was late on it.
The month of September.
But that would have been the $682.
Was he there in September?
September 1st would have been the day that the money was due.
No, when did he vacate the apartment as a result of your restraining order?
September 7th, when the night of the mistake, but he was late on rent often.
$682, that's what he gets.
Yes.
As he gets a security deposit back. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Peyton, then Ryan.
I don't really disagree with anything. Everything went perfectly the way I would have hoped it went.
I'm glad I got my security deposit back, but I could have definitely been compensated for the items that I lost.
I mean, he got a little money out of it, but way less than he thought he would. It's a good day.
Sometimes I can get anxious, but I would not hurt anybody physically.
I hope he gets some help.
Me and my cats are the best trio.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, I remember from a very early period in my life when I started college that I wasn't really good at having a roommate.
I think you must have passed that on to me.
I did, especially one that you don't love. You know, it's hard enough to live with somebody that you love. Mm-hmm. You know, they get irritated. You know, she said they fought over dishes and not doing the dishes. Well, you know, you've lived with us, so, you know, I have that argument all the time. But I love him.
Yeah.
It's very hard to deal with somebody schmutz that you don't love.
Got to be careful and pick someone you really think and cross your fingers and toes.
Actually, Sarah, I don't think you should pick anybody. I think that what you should do, if you can, is live in a shoebox by yourself, if that's all you can afford. Yeah. You know how many roommate cases we've done just in the last couple of years?
All with stress and aggravation intertwined immensely.
Immensely, and that's without romance involved. Oh, yeah. I mean, this young man, who looks like a perfectly reasonable young man and very honest, said he told the judge that he was shaking. I said, well, describe to me what you were doing. And he shook. And
I would say
that's
crazy.
A little out there. She was getting under his skin. There's no question she was getting under his skin.
Middle of COVID, everyone's inside.
You could tell she was getting under his skin. She was terrified. You know, she's 21 years old. Yeah, a little dramatic. Anyway, I think it ended okay.
Yeah, ended well.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Melissa Baker is suing fellow motorist Jesus Escobar for car damage after an accident.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2159, Baker versus Escobar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This case involves an automobile accident. Ms. Baker, you are seeking $10,000 from Mr. Escobar, who you claim caused the accident and you a lot of grief. The accident happened on what date?
It happened on May the 18th, 2021.
Was your car insured at the time?
Yes.
Yes. And your car was insured at the time?
Yes.
Great. I don't want you to get into the specifics of the accident just yet. What I'd like you to tell me was, prior to May 18th, who were you working for?
Brand Lighting.
What were you doing for them?
I drove forklift. I load and unload trailers.
How long had you worked for them?
About a year and a half.
Prior to that, where did you work?
I think it was distribution.
From when to when?
I worked for them for about 4 years.
Prior to that, were you constantly employed or were you on disability?
Yes, no, I was constantly employed. I was constantly employed.
Okay, prior to working for the place where you had been working in May, were you ever on any sort of disability?
Yeah,
From when to when?
May the 19th, I applied for disability because I went to the doctor.
I'm not talking about it as a result of this accident, Ms. Baker. I'm asking you, were you ever on disability before this accident?
No.
You were injured before this accident. You had a back injury before this accident. When did that take place?
That happened in 1999.
And what happened in 1999?
We had opened up the PIC module and the supervisors was there and we was walking them to show them the new opening of it. And the floors was made out of gates, but the gates wasn't pushed together and so my foot slipped down between there and my back slammed into one of the steel beams.
And were you out on any sort of a disability after 1999?
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
Well, I was out on disability with that, and I was out for 2 years.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was out
in
for 2 years.
In 1999. How long were you out on disability?
I was out for 2 years.
And the nature of your disability was the back injury?
Yes, ma'am.
So you went back to work in 2001?
Yes, ma'am.
For whom?
Hospital.
What were you doing there?
I was a supervisor in the storeroom.
How long were you working there?
I worked for 3 years.
After 2001, was there ever a period of time that you went back on disability?
I'm trying to think, yes.
And from what year to what year?
I want to say it was like 2005. My thumb got amputated off of my hand at work.
And how long were you out on disability?
A year and a half.
After that?
I think that's it for the disability. I went to work after that.
This accident occurred on May 18th, 2021. After May 18th, 2021, did you go on disability?
Yes.
From when to when?
From May of 2021 to August of 2022.
And the nature of your disability on all 3 occasions was injury to your back?
No, one of them was when my thumb got amputated off of my right hand.
Did you have any surgery on your back ever?
No, ma'am.
And you received disability from May of 2021 to August of 2022 in what amount?
I think it was $1,160 every 2 weeks.
So about $2,200 a month?
Yes.
And what happened in August of 2022?
Benefits was exonerated.
Ceased?
Yes.
And you went back to work?
No, I have not been back to work.
How are you supporting yourself now?
I just applied for unemployment right now to try to help me with my bills and my rent because I'm behind in everything.
May 2021, what was the date of the accident?
May 18th, 2021.
According to your complaint, you were traveling in the right lane of a highway. The defendant was traveling in the middle lane?
Correct.
And he veered off into your lane in order to make a right turn, struck your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. He says not true. His response says that he was in the middle lane, he was going into the right lane, and you sped up and wouldn't let him in. Is that what your defense is?
Your Honor.
And your cars collided. Or she hit you.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
That is not true.
And the damage to your car, which was the red car, was where?
He caught me from when I swerved, so he caught me from the side and he slid up to the bumper. So he hit the bumper right there and that part of it.
Do you have photographs?
I do.
I
have photos.
I'd like to take
Your
a
Honor.
look at the photographs, please.
Melissa hands a photo to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
So may I explain to you what happened, Your Honor?
With what?
May I explain to you how the incident occurred?
Caption, coming up.
When did you get these estimates?
Oh, I just went to go get those estimates yesterday. I talked to them on the phone before then.
No, I don't care whether you talk to them on the phone. These estimates say you just got them within the last couple of days.
Yeah, no,
well, this accident happened a year ago.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Melissa and Jesus.
Melissa Baker claims fellow motorist Jesus Escobar damaged her vehicle while changing lanes.
Well, this was your car.
Yes, that's my car.
And this is the passenger front panel.
When he hit me, the bumper was hanging, and so then I had to pull it off because it was dragging the ground. I couldn't drive my car like that, so I ended up pulling the whole thing off. And so that's how come you see that damage on the other side of the car, too.
You have pictures of your car, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to see them.
Jesus produces photos, then hands them to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews images of damage to the passenger side of a vehicle.
Anybody have a police report?
I have a over-the-counter report because once
No. I just asked if anybody has a police report of this accident. I'd like to take a look at it.
Melissa hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Where did you get this from?
I went to the police department the next day and did an over-the-counter report because he asked me not to call the police.
Just a second. My question to you is, where did you get this from to make a picture of it?
Oh, I had took a picture of it with my phone and emailed it to my attorneys. And so when they sent me a collective packet, that's how they sent it back to me.
Did either one of you receive a citation or a ticket as a result of this accident?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Were the police called?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Mr. Escobar, when he got out the car, he asked me if I was okay, and he asked me not to call the police because he's a truck driver and he did not want that point on his driver's license. He also asked for me to pull over to the side of the road over on 4th Street so that we wouldn't be blocking the intersection and the traffic.
Well, that's a good idea.
I took a picture of his insurance information.
You remember that conversation, Mr. Escobar?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And so you said you would pay for the damage to her car.
I offered. I was trying to be
Just a second.
generous.
You
Yes.
said I'd...
Yes.
Well, that's a yes. That sounds reasonable. You said, I'll pay for the damage. Don't call the police. I don't want this to be on my license. I'll pay for the damage.
Correct.
Right?
It's bored to it, but hopefully I could have a chance to tell you what my side of the story is. But yes, that's what I said.
I passed your side of the story.
Okay.
Now I have an accident. You say one thing, she says another. Well, moving on to the next issue. The next issue is she says, and you acknowledge that you told her, please don't call the police. I'll pay for the damage.
Correct.
I don't want to go through my insurance.
Yes.
Okay, so you agreed to pay for her damage.
Yes.
Do you have an estimate for your damage?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it.
So I actually have two different estimates.
Did you ever have the car fixed?
No.
Okay.
Melissa hands documents to Kevin, who brings them to Judy.
Thank you.
She reviews them.
What kind of car is this and what year?
It's a 2012 Kia Optima.
And you own that outright?
Yes.
When did you get these estimates?
Oh, I just went to go get those estimates yesterday. I talked to them on the phone before then.
No, I don't care whether you talk to them on the phone. These estimates say you just got them within the last couple of days.
Yeah, no,
well, this accident happened a year ago.
Yes. So I called some people to get some estimates, and they gave me some estimates over the phone. And so I called Mr. Escobar, and I told him what the estimates were.
No, listen to me carefully. What you just gave me were estimates that you got 2 days ago, which is a year and a half after this accident.
Right. Well,
okay, I want to know where the estimate is for $1,700. That's the estimate that you called him with the next day after the accident.
No, yeah.
The next day after the accident, you called him and said it cost me $1,700 to fix it. These say $4,600. Just show me the estimate for $1,700.
These are from his. That's from his insurance company. Actually, when I called him to give him the estimates of the people that I talked to on the phone, he didn't respond to me.
Listen to me carefully, madam. I'm reading from your complaint. I took my car in for an estimate.
Yes.
The next day, and I texted him the amount. He said that he did not have $1,700 And he asked if I could wait for a month. I needed to get my car fixed before then, and he suggested that we go through insurance after all. You took your car in, according to you.
Yes.
You got an estimate for $1,700.
Okay, I didn't get it in right.
Okay.
Okay, that's...
You got an estimate for $1,700. He said, I can't get you the money right away, so you went through insurance.
Correct.
Okay, so all of a sudden it doesn't grow into $4,600.
Well, may I?
Yeah.
Okay, so the man gave me the estimate for the $1,700, but what he did inform me was that once
No,
they
you
start
can't
to
tell me
take-
what he informed you, madam.
Well, basically
You can't,
what-
not basically.
Well, can I tell you what these people? Can I tell you what these people said?
You can't tell me what those people said either.
Well, I was trying to explain to you why it went to $4,300, but
It's not going to $4,300. The initial cost to fix your car was $1,700. You, as a matter of fact, accepted a check from his insurance company for $1,300.
I asked my attorney if I was supposed to. I'm sorry.
You accepted a check for his insurance company for $1,300. Then, according to you, they canceled the check. Okay? And I'll see the letter why they canceled the check.
Okay.
Okay. And when you accepted the check, you signed a general release, because the insurance company doesn't send a check unless you sign a general release for anything and everything surrounding the accident that took place on May 18th. That's what you sign. When you accept a check from an insurance company with regard to an accident, that's what you sign.
I had no clue as to what it was. You know, Your Honor, I referred to my attorneys and asked them what I should do, and that's what they advised me to do.
That's hearsay. Do you understand? That's hearsay. You can't tell me that. There is no attorney that would say, sign a release, and then we'll go on from there.
I asked them if I was supposed to accept the check.
You no longer have that attorney, correct? No. The attorney said goodbye. Now, after this accident, which happened on May 18th, when was the first time you saw a doctor?
The very next day.
Let me see.
Here's all my doctor's notes.
No, let me just see from the next day.
Okay.
Melissa hands documents to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Says patient is disabled as a result of chronic back pain that affects her mobility and inability to perform work as required.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And now you work for whom?
Brand Lighting. This is also the report.
Just a second. What do you do for Brand Lighting?
Oh, I drive a stand-up reach machine, so I have to get on and off. And I also drive a forklift, sit-down forklift, where I have to climb up and down it to get on and off.
I got it. Mr. Escobar, you agreed to pay the damage to the car, correct?
Yes. Can I speak on that?
I'd like you to hear your excuse.
Caption, coming up.
You did not present to me anything with a medical write-up that suggests at all that this accident caused you to lose anything.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Melissa and Jesus.
Melissa Baker has accused fellow motorist Jesus Escobar of hitting her vehicle while changing lanes.
Mr. Escobar, you agreed to pay the damage to the car,
Correct.
correct?
Yes. Can I speak on that?
I'd like to hear your excuse.
Okay, at this point, at the time of the accident, which was date of loss, May 14, 2021.
May 18th or May 14th?
14.
May 14th?
14.
May I see it?
That's not true.
It says date of loss.
Jesus hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Shh. Okay, so this insurance company found that there is a comparative negligence statute in California, which means to the layperson that they will look at an accident and they'll say, well, it's not 100% his fault or not 100% your fault, but they looked at the accident and they said, our insured, that would be you, is 75% responsible for this accident. And they found, which is not dispositive for me, that you were 25% responsible for the accident. You agreed to pay to have the car fixed.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Can I explain that? Why?
Go ahead, you could explain all you like, but you agreed to have the car fixed.
I was trying to be reasonable due to the fact that I was a truck driver. I'm off for 3 weeks, come home a day or half a day, and then I'm off for another 3 weeks. I was trying not to go to court. I was trying not to make things worse.
And you agreed to pay to have the car fixed.
I agreed to pay.
I don't care what it was. Nobody put a gun to your head.
No.
You know, nobody put you under a cattle. What was it? That thing?
I have no.
Yellowstone, where
I know what you're talking about.
Called?
I don't know what it's. A cattle guard.
Cattle guard.
Yeah.
Nobody hid you in a cattle guard. You said, don't call your insurance, I will pay for the damage. So you got to pay for the damage. And evidently it hasn't bothered you enough because you haven't had the car fixed. Do you still own the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, you have fixed for $1,700. Now, you have no medical people here, do you? No, there are no witnesses over there. You've had a long-standing back problem. You went to a chiropractor, you went to a lawyer, on and off disability because of your back problem, and you did not present to me anything with a medical write-up that suggests at all that this accident caused you to lose anything. And if you have it, I'll be more than happy to look at it.
Okay. My attorney's highlighted that part right there.
Melissa hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
I just looked at this.
I'm sorry, I must have gave you the wrong thing. Okay.
Well, do you have the right thing?
I thought it was talking about the acute back pain.
No, I don't. Not that I don't care about your acute back pain, but since you don't have an expert here to testify that back pain, that was as a result of this accident, and the pro forma thing that you gave me, a check-off, patient has chronic back pain, doesn't do it for me. So unless I have a write-up from a hospital, from a medical facility, that this accident that happened, he says on the 14th, you say it happened on the 18th.
It happened on the 18th, ma'am.
It happened on the 18th.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I've had this. Oh, here it is.
Melissa hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Okay. Doesn't do it.
Okay.
Doesn't do it. He's got to pay to have your car fixed. $1,700. We're finished your judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
I'm satisfied. I'm just glad that the whole thing is over with.
I'm just glad that this is finally over.
It's been a year and a half almost, and my car is still damaged.
Pretty much, yes. I was in the middle lane trying to make a right.
The guy fabricated a lot of that stuff, but I just really want to be done with this.
She got road rage and speed her car up and hit me.
He just apologized a whole lot. He was feeling really good when he was driving. He was revving his engine a little bit because he has a Charger. Music was blaring loud. He wasn't paying attention.
I don't know how I could cut someone off and the person I'm cutting off would ends up in front of me.
I was going about my merry way and I seen him coming towards me through from my peripheral vision.
How is that possible?
Now I feel sorry now that I didn't call the police and have them to come out there to the scene. I know it's a COVID time. People was having a hard time with, making their money and the jobs and stuff. When the guy asked me not to call the police, I wasn't giving him a hard time, but then look what he done.
Accidents happen.
Be careful out there.
Sarah and Judy.
I think this is a good lesson for people like the defendant who, for whatever reason, he was a truck driver and didn't want maybe the points on his license or even the hint of a car accident to be on his record if that's his business. However, I think it could have saved him from, number one, making a gratuitous promise to pay for the damages to her vehicle, which he might not have had a police officer come out and made a report, and maybe they would have found him less at fault than his own insurance company. And then he wouldn't have been so quick to offer to pay for the damages. Or conversely, the plaintiff may not have mentioned anything about any back pain, and if today was the first time she was going to bring it up, I'm sure you wouldn't have offered her anything.
Well, she didn't bring it up. She's had chronic back pain now for 22 years.
Of course.
Her allegation is that this accident exacerbated that back pain that she's had for 20 years. Then you have to come in with a medical team to talk about what the nature of her injury was before, how it was changed as a result of this accident. Without that, a pro forma note that says so-and-so has chronic back pain and she can't work is not a reason to award you $10,000 for personal injury.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
I just think it's a good lesson that the police get called to the scene of an accident for a reason. And although you may be concerned with other consequences of calling them, sometimes it's just the right thing to do.
Smart thing to do. Yeah. Because clearly there was no issue of alcohol or drugs or driving while impaired.
Just an accident.
It was an accident.
Yeah.
And there was really no issue of neither one of them having insurance. They both had insurance. So it was really just I don't want to have to deal with this. I'll deal with it. I'll pay.
And hopefully the $1,700 lesson tells him that in the future, maybe calling would be the better course of action.
It's always the best policy.
Title: Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Rosa Brooks is suing videographer Garrett Manny for unfinished video services.
Court come to order. All rise.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2089, Brooks versus Manley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Brooks, you are a realtor.
Yes.
And you also decided to go into the business of buying houses, fixing them up, and flipping them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did you decide to do that?
I started my company in 2017.
Was that just a real estate company, or was that the company that bought houses and renovated them and sold them? Which one?
That was my company that I started for flipping houses.
Do you have a partner in that business?
No, it's just myself.
From 2017 until now, how many houses have you sold and flipped?
This would have been my third one.
The house that we're talking about now?
Yes.
And when did you purchase that house?
I purchased it in March of 2020.
How much did you pay for it?
$200,000.
This is what the case is about. For that house, just that house, you commissioned Mr. Maney?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And you're a videographer?
Yes, Your Honor, photographer and videographer.
To video for the purposes of advertising the project from start to finish, what it looked like when you purchased it, and sort of ongoing throughout the process, taking video of what you did to change cosmetically the inside and or the outside of the house. And you had an agreed price with him, which you paid. How much was that?
$1,919.
And it is your claim that since Mr. Maney did not finish the project and did not take the end product of what the house looked like when it was finished, you acknowledge he did come at other times and took video of what the house looked like at the beginning and the middle. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
But didn't do the video of the end, that you want your entire $1,919 back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Whatever he says. Mr. Maney says that you were difficult, that it was impossible, the job was supposed to take 4 months, it took almost a year, he didn't sign on for that, which may be. But more important, is there a video? Do you have a video of what he took? Do you have a video of what you gave her?
I have in my Google Drive a ton of video of what I've taken, but at the end, I have evidence showing we had scheduled for me to come in and do that final video. Everything was on point. Then she tells me here,
no,
it's going to be completed.
Just a second.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to let you have an opportunity.
Okay, sorry, Your Honor.
To tell me what your defense is to this case, if you need one. I just want to see some video of what you took. Doesn't anybody have that here? I mean, if 3/4 of the project was completed with video, and the only thing, according to you, that he didn't do was the end, that's what you just told me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so did he give you the video that was done?
I got nothing, Your Honor.
Your Honor, she has had access to the Google Drive with all of the video components in there. I cannot complete the final edits to put everything together until she completed things on her part, which was never done. Which was spoken about from the beginning.
Completing things on her part meant completing the house.
Completing the house, talking points.
Okay, but video is completing the house.
That's part of it.
Part of it, and the other one is audio where she tells you what's been done.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm just thinking out loud. Why didn't you do that yourself?
Your Honor, I never had a video to be able to go and do my...
No, I'm saying, did you have access to what he had done up until that time? That's either a yes or a no. Did you have video capability of seeing what video he had shot?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have some evidence to show me that the plaintiff had access to the video that you had shot of 3/4 of the project being completed?
I believe I have something in here about uploading stuff into the Google Drive, which if she didn't have access to that Google Drive, then how did she upload the final walkthrough video that I do have evidence of that is not professional, that I was unable to complete due to her lack of commitment?
Just a second. You have video of what?
There is video evidence of the final walkthrough that was done by somebody on a phone camera because she canceled on me last minute when we were supposed to do it.
Just a second. Where did you get that evidence from?
She uploaded it into the Google Drive that had all of the videos, which she had access to, obviously,
so,
if she put it in there.
So what you're saying is Miss Brooks added a video of a final walkthrough that was done by whom?
My son.
By her son. And she added that final walkthrough to the Google Drive, and therefore you were able to get it. And she tacked that on to the work that you did complete. Is that what you're telling me?
All of the rest of the videos are in the same Google
Drive.
Drive.
It's in the same Google Drive.
Which she had access
I
to
got
the
it.
entire
Now I'd like to see the video.
A video appears on a monitor.
Which is not professional quality.
Footage of a kitchen area, then of a living room. Judy turns to Rosa.
What did you do with that, Miss Brooks?
Your Honor,
what did you do with it?
Nothing.
Caption coming up.
At first you told me you didn't have access, that you never saw them. Then they were available to you and your son to be able to look at them. You say you never looked at them. I actually find that unbelievable, Ms. Brooks. I find it unbelievable that you had them and you didn't look at them.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Rosa and Garrett.
Rosa Brooks claims videographer Garrett Manny did not finish her home renovation video.
You didn't send it to him. There's no question you didn't send it to him.
He requested...
You did not send it to him.
No, I didn't No, my son sent it to him.
How do I know that?
He requested it from my son because he asked me to, but I did not know how to forward it to him on the format that he was requiring. I also have tried to meet with Mr. Manning to have him upload or transfer all of the video that I videotaped of when he couldn't make it to his office so that he can upload it onto his computer so he can edit it. He never gave me an edited copy of
Just a second. Ms. Brooks, is what you're telling me you have never seen any video of the 3/4 of the job that you acknowledge that he did? Are you telling me you've never seen any of those videos?
Never seen any of those videos, Your Honor, only when he was recording it at the property.
Mr. Maney, you wanted to show me something.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, there is...
At the beginning, when we started.
A few things here.
First of all, you have on your Google Drive
yes, Your Honor,
all of the video that you took.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you currently have it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there any way that I can see any of it?
Absolutely. I also have another video that shows real estate videography work that I've done for other clients.
I'm not interested.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that.
You should also be able to see on the Google Drive who has access to it.
Oh.
I removed the access when this case came up because I didn't want, at this point, I don't trust the plaintiff. So I removed her access so that she couldn't go and delete the videos and try to claim that she never had access.
To them. Got it.
Let me see.
Give the phone to Sarah, please, Kevin.
There it is, flip videos. That's all the different files with all of the different videos. And there may be something that you can push in there to see when people had access at one point, because I had access for herself as well as her son. And she has prior uploaded videos into there herself.
There's more than 30 videos in here, and
those are just
I
files.
see the two little people on Google Drive, which usually indicates that it's shared with more than one person.
Is it currently shared with anybody other than the defendant? He said he took her off the shared access.
Rosa Brooks does have access to all of the videos.
She does.
Your Honor, can I explain why he set up that folder? Because I also took video myself to upload onto that. He showed me how to do that.
He told me that you also did, but he said that this file also includes the video footage that he took.
Yes, but it was never edited, so I can do voiceovers.
Just a second. I asked you a specific question, Ms. Brooks. I said, did you ever see any of the video that he took? Your answer was no.
No.
Correct?
Correct.
Well, the fact that you didn't look at it, I don't believe. I find no validity to why, if you had it and you were coming to court today and you were dissatisfied, why you wouldn't look at it. You had your son have access to it, and I don't know how old your son is, who took the end video. I'm going to look at some of it, but it's clear to me that Mr. Maney performed a substantial amount of work for you. Clearly, $1,900 worth of work. Clearly. So what happened at the end that caused you to have your son do an end look at what the place looked like? I don't know why, but Mr. Maney said that he has an email from you that I'm going to look at now. That would sort of be dispositive of what happened at the end run of this case. Well, Sarah, could you give me just one look at his?
Sure. So he has all of these different files for different sections of the home, driveway, fireplace, and if you click on them, these are all of the videos taken for flooring. And if you click on this, it's a video of them doing flooring, and you can see who has access to the clips, her son,
Jeffrey and Rosa.
And the owner is the defendant.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
And there's probably over 50 videos in the file.
So that you and your son had access to these videos over an extended period of time. The fact that you didn't look at it, that's not my problem.
Your Honor, my son did that video late at the end, towards the end of the...
What I'm telling you is you had access to these videos.
Well,
at first you told me you didn't have access, that you never saw them. Then they were available to you and your son to be able to look at them. You say you never looked at them. I actually find that unbelievable, Ms. Brooks. I find it unbelievable that you had them and you didn't look at them.
I didn't feel it was a need to look at them, Your Honor. I was anticipating going up to Mr. Maney's office, so once he edited, I could do the voiceovers on them.
Okay.
There was no real
Ms. Brooks,
purpose.
I don't believe that you didn't look at them, madam. This was a $200,000 investment that you made, and this was a project. The first time that your business had done it, I don't believe that you didn't look at them. How much did you sell the house?
That folder for me to put my videos into.
How much did you? You're trying to talk over me. That's not happening.
I'm not.
You sold the house in what month and year?
The house closed on January 2022.
And what did you sell it for?
$555,000.
So you made $350,000.
No, Your Honor, $270,000 went into the house renovation.
Just a second. You sold it for $350,000 more than you paid for it.
Your Honor, I use hard money, and there's lots of.
Just a second. I know you're arguing with me. You bought it for $200,000. You sold it for $550,000.
Yes.
My math is not great, but that's a difference of $350,000. That's all I said to you. I said you bought it for $200,000, you sold it, and the difference between the purchase price and the sale price was $350,000.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
Caption coming up.
So even if you made, in those few short months, $150,000, you didn't do the physical labor on the house. You had workmen do the physical labor on the house.
I did some of it, Your Honor.
Well, you made a handsome profit. I want you to tell me what you think his work is worth.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Rosa and Garrett.
Rosa Brooks has accused videographer Garrett Maney of not completing her home renovation video.
Now, you sold it in January of 2022.
That's correct.
That's when it closed.
Yes.
When did it go into contract?
Early in the project, Your Honor. It was pretty much the third month after I purchased it. So I purchased it in March. It was under contract around July of 2020.
Well, there was a lot of back and forth and a little bit of cancellation on your part back in December. You needed a little wiggle room. Looks like Monday would be a better day. First it was Friday. So there was lots of back and forth on the endgame video.
Yes, Your Honor. And he
also what?
He also canceled as well. He has to...
Well, that's all right, but the...
Yeah, back and forth. We both had cancellations. And
I understand that, but this was for the final piece, which is what you're complaining about, the final piece.
Your Honor, he was not responding to me at some point when I tried to contact him to get the opportunity to go to his office to give him the rest of the footage that he needed, that he requested, that he was difficult about because I wasn't able to forward it to him in the format that he needed it for. I offered to come up to his office so that he can, transfer from my phone.
I'm going to ask you a question, Ms. Brooks. I just want to see what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
How many files of video did he have?
Oh, I can't tell.
You told me 30?
There's at least 30.
I had tons of video myself in there that I uploaded that he taught me how to put into the folders. A lot of those videos are my videos that he didn't take.
I don't care. It was on the same thing that you could have looked at and told me that you didn't, which I don't believe. So I want you to understand that. He was involved. There are 30 files. I want you to tell me, how much do you think that on a time basis Mr. Maney is entitled to? You paid him $1,919. He did clearly countless of hours of videoing your project. At the end, it turned south, and the videos were available to you. I want you to give me a figure of what you think is fair. Fair.
I don't have a figure that I think is fair, because first of all, he spent 10 minutes on each visit, first of all, to do his filming.
Where does he live?
Second, he lives like the next town over from me.
Just a second, so he has to get there.
Yeah.
I want you to think, Ms. Brooks, I want you to think of what you personally did to make a profit of $350,000.
Your Honor, I didn't profit that amount.
I'm telling you, that's the difference. You may have spent money in renovating the property, but that's the difference between what you purchased it for and what you sold it for, $350,000. So the sweat of your brow, your work ethic is worth something. So even if you made in those few short months $150,000, you didn't do the physical labor on the house. You had workmen do the physical labor on the house.
I did some of it, Your Honor.
Well, maybe, but you made a handsome profit. I want you to tell me what you think Mr. Maney's work was worth to you, because I'm telling you right now, I am viewing this case as if you and your son had access to 3/4 of the finished product. So I want you to tell me what you think his work is worth.
Your Honor, it's worthless to me that I didn't get the video.
Okay.
I had a website that I needed the video for once the job was completed.
Well, that's unfortunate. You should have had your son do it. Since you can't give me a figure, I'm dismissing your case. We're done. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
Rosa, then Garrett.
First of all, I paid him for something that I never got anything for.
They had access to the files the whole time.
And as far as him saying he uploaded some videos,
The only reason I wasn't able to get the final video
yes, they were uploaded, but I never got a chance to really review them.
is because she canceled on me like 12 hours before we were supposed to do it.
I was not anticipating on reviewing anything that was not edited.
It was her lack of put together a commitment.
Not to pay for anything up front until the project is finished.
You just can't make everybody happy, but
Don't trust anybody.
this is the only client I've ever had that was not happy. That says something.
Sarah and Judy.
I love Google Drive. They leave a record. You can see who started the file, who shared the file, who has access to it, who had revoke access. So I could see as soon as I logged in, he was very organized. He had different areas of the house labeled, individual videos of flooring progress. All of those were owned by him, shared with the plaintiff to be able to view them. So I don't understand why people lie about things that are so easily to be fact-checked.
And did it make sense to you that if you had this project going, and it was the first time that you were memorializing one of your flipped houses, although she had two before, that it was something that she was interested in?
I know for myself on Google Drive, you get emails when things get uploaded. I would have been checking the second that the video got
It doesn't make sense
uploaded.
that she didn't look at.
No, not at all. There were some videos that she potentially did add to the Google Drive, so I did see some of those.
Well, that's so interesting, because in order to be able to do that, you have to know
access.
that. Right. Didn't make sense. Not only didn't it make sense, but she had an end video, and it was clearly from the emails back and forth. She would make a date and then say, you know, her buyers aren't exactly ready. She needs a little more wiggle room. Could you make it this? She made it. Anyway, I found it sort of unbusinesslike. Did not say somebody did work, clearly spent hours videotaping for her. So if you didn't get your final video, but 3/4 of it was finished and could easily be edited by anybody, to find the work he did worthless.
I feel like it was a little bit of buyer's remorse for the video, because she was intending to use this video to maybe attempt to sell it. I presume it was to try and sell the home, or her business as a flipper.
Her business as a flipper.
I feel like she found the buyer for the house and said, man, the video's not really worth anything to me anymore, and just didn't want to pay him.
She had paid him, she wanted it back.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Title, Judy Justice.
Have you been cheated? Go to judyjustice.tv. Maud Gedlin, is suing her great-granddaughter, Angelina Marshall, and her daughter, Angela Norrie, for writing fraudulent checks.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2169, Gatlin versus Marshall Norrie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gatlin.
Right here.
Who's Marshall? This is your grandmother.
Great-grandmother.
Great-grandmother.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you have a seat for a moment? Yes.
Thank you.
And this is
my great-aunt.
Your first name is Angelina?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you said that this was your great-aunt?
No, she's my great-grandmother, and then the other lady is my great-aunt.
No. Who is the plaintiff?
My great-grandmother.
Well, that's what it says in the complaint. I didn't understand it when you said that was my great-aunt.
Sorry.
Okay. How old are you today?
I'm 18.
When did you turn 18?
September 24th.
Prior to your turning 18, you had a job?
Yes.
Doing what?
Being a food associate worker.
How long were you working there?
I was there for 5 months.
And how much were you making an hour?
$17.
Who were you living with?
My grandmother.
And Miss Gatlin, is Miss Norrie your daughter?
Yes, she's my oldest daughter, yes.
That's what I thought. Because you were working, you wanted to start a bank account.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
And you asked your great-grandmother whether she could help you do that because you needed a cosigner.
No, she actually offered if.
Okay, well, tell me about it.
Well, I was helping her move some stuff into our apartment, and then.
You were helping her with?
I was helping her move some of her stuff into our apartment, because at the current time she needed to live with us, and I was helping her out.
Your great-grandmother was going to be living with you?
Yes.
And what month was that?
June.
June of?
2022.
So you were helping her move some of the things into your house?
Yes.
And?
And, well, we were at the bank because she wanted to withdraw some money for, well, I don't really know what she was doing, but I was just riding around with her.
You a working lady, or were you?
Yes, I do work, Your Honor.
For whom?
I work for Securitex.
And that's where you deposit your paychecks?
Yes, my paychecks are directly deposited. That is correct.
Okay, so now you're traveling with your great-grandmother around, and she had to go in and make a deposit or a withdrawal.
Yes.
And?
Well, I was sitting there waiting for her to finish. And, well, while we were waiting for a teller to open up for her before she went outside, she asked me if I would like to open a savings account. And, well, I really didn't need one, but I was like, yeah, sure, so I can at least have my checks go somewhere.
But what were you doing with your checks before that?
I would just take them to the bank.
Is that what the bank that they were drawn on?
Yes.
Okay, so you were taking them to the bank that they were drawn on to cash. Okay, but this was a more convenient bank?
Yes. She said it would help me with my credits. I'm like, yeah, sure, since she wants to help out.
Okay, so you had some paychecks that you were putting in there?
Yes.
Those are not the checks that are at issue. How long did you put your paychecks into the bank? That was now a joint savings account with you and your great-grandmother, starting in June. Excuse me, what? Was that the
It actually started in May, Your Honor.
May of 2022.
Yes, and to go back a little bit, Angelina, yes, I was living with my oldest daughter. Angelina came to me one night and she said, Granny, she said, can you help me open a bank account? And I said, well, we'll see. So she happened to be with me that particular day when I went to take care of a transaction. And I said, hey, let's see if we can open your account that you asked me about. And the young lady asked her how old she was. She said 17. She said, well, unfortunately, you can't open an account. She said, but you
would have to need a cosigner.
Yeah, she said, Miss Gatlin, she said, since you've been banking with us for a while, Angelina can open up a junior account on your account. So I said, oh, okay.
Great. So it was open in May?
It was open May.
Great.
May the 11th.
And you put your paychecks in there?
Yes.
And you withdrew from your paychecks what you needed to live?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
But then there came some checks that you weren't quite sure of how they originated. They were not your paychecks. What checks were those?
They were some checks that a family member gave to me.
No, not a family member. Not a family member. Your father gave to you.
Yes.
When did your father give you these checks?
I'm gonna say maybe July. I'm not too sure.
When did you see your father?
Well, he's in and out of our lives a lot. We never really talked to him when he was around, but maybe about...
No, look at me and tell me how it is that your father gave you checks, which turned out to be bad, to put in your account, your bank account?
Well, he was just trying to help out with...
No, not just trying to help out. I want you to tell me where you received the checks, what he said to you when he gave you the checks, and I assume he did not give you the checks all at one time.
No, he didn't.
Gave them to you intermittently?
Yes.
So tell me when he gave you the first check. Was that in July?
Yes.
Where was he?
We were at my house.
With?
My grandmother.
With your grandmother. She likes him?
Yes.
And what happened when he was at your house in July?
Well, he came over to check up on us, the family. And he's like, Angelina, do you need some money? I said, yeah, Dad, to help out with the bills. He's like, okay, here, cash this. And like, I didn't...
No.
Ask.
Caption, coming up.
What happened when your grandmother told you that the checks were bad?
I was like, okay, I didn't know because I was trying to get into my account. I didn't know about it. I'm like, okay. She's like, are you going to pay it so it won't come back on me? I'm like, yes, I will pay it.
I'm talking very fast.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Maude and Angelina.
Maude Gatlin claims her 18-year-old great-granddaughter, Angelina Marshall, used her account to cash fraudulent checks.
Okay, now, according to you, your father's been in and out of prison.
Yes.
How long had he been out of prison when he came to the house?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know because he's honestly very in and out of jail a lot. So I don't really keep track of how many times he gets out and then...
Well, I'm just asking, when they came to your house in July, had he been in jail in June, in April?
April.
May?
April.
He'd been in jail in April. In May?
No, he was not in jail.
Where was he working?
He wasn't working anywhere.
He wasn't working in May?
No, he does his own thing.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that... Good. Was he working in May? Was he working in June?
No.
When you say he was doing his own thing, this own thing that he was doing did not produce paychecks.
I don't get into my father's business. So I wouldn't know.
So you took these checks. Do you have a copy of the check? Anybody have a copy of the first check from?
I only have one.
All four of them is there.
Maude hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Well, first of all, I don't see any signature on here.
On the first one, there isn't. On the 3560, Your Honor, there isn't.
No, on 600, 1200.
There isn't any signature on any of them. It's just that she wrote her name on it and screenshot them into the accounts.
Now.
And I do have the breakdown. I'm sorry.
Just a second.
Okay.
I do have these checks starting to be deposited in August, one on the 11th, written to you on the 16th, from a Suzanne, and they're made out to you, right?
Yes.
You're not a stupid person, right?
No.
I want you to tell me who Suzanne is.
I wouldn't know. I swear my dad just gave them to me and told me to cash them.
Well, Miss Marshall, you have checks that are made out to you from a person that you don't know, not from one of your work checks. It's made out to you. It's signed by somebody who you work for. It indicates the number of hours on the stub. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
This is written by somebody that you have no idea who it is. Now, a person with a modicum of intelligence that has an unsigned check would say, who is Suzanne? Are you telling me that you didn't ask that question?
No.
No. Now, when you signed the checks, because they had to be signed, right?
Yes.
Whose name did you sign?
My name.
Well, the checks are made out to you, which means you could have cashed them. Am I missing something? So her name was docu-signed on these checks, and she merely endorsed them? Is that what you're telling me?
Basically, what I'm seeing from what the bank tells me, she put her name on it, put the amount that she wanted to withdraw, did a screenshot, and got the money.
Okay. Now, there did come a time when you found out that these checks were bad checks, right?
Yes.
And that they were going to hold your great-grandmother responsible for those checks because you already took out the cash and you spent it. All of it, not your pay. You may have taken out your pay, too. I'm going to ask you a very serious question. Did you give your father any portion of checks that he gave you? Did he say to you, well, this is work that I did for this woman, so if you cash them, you can give me some and you can keep the rest. Think carefully before you answer my question.
No, Your Honor.
So he just said to you, take these blank checks, fill them in, and deposit them.
No, he's the one that filled them, and he just told me this. I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, Dad, are you sure? He's like, trust me, Lena, they're fine. I'm like,
well, why would you trust him? What does he go to jail for?
Way different stuff from...
Sounds like a dreamboat. Well, so now I'm going to ask you. You took this money out, and what'd you do with it?
Paid bills, bought stuff I needed for my daughter.
Like what?
Diapers, clothes, shoes, saving just in case I needed some more stuff for her, but I really didn't save. Took her to places just to get her out the house, and, well... Also,
well, what happened when your grandmother told you that the checks were bad? Did she tell you at one time that all the checks were bad, or did she tell you over a series of times?
She told me twice.
Twice?
The first time was $400 something. I was like, okay. I didn't know because I was trying to get into my account. I didn't know about it. I'm like, okay. She's like, are you going to pay it so it won't come back on me? I'm like, yes, I will pay it.
You're talking very fast.
Sorry.
I said to my grandmother, and my grandmother said to me, $400 is they're discounting because it was a bad check. And that must have been one of the first checks.
Yes.
And you said?
I told her I will pay it back once my next paycheck goes through.
You will pay back what?
The $400. I'm not exact how much it was, but I know it was 400, maybe 50 something.
So now you know that the checks that your father was giving you are bad.
Yes.
That's with only $400 in it. Because she said to her, well, I'll pay you back because you've been using that money to take care of you.
Yes.
In addition to the money that you're earning.
Yes.
You were using the money that your great-grandmother was earning to take care of you. So now you find out that the checks are bad, but your father gives you other checks. Did your father give you other checks?
No,
well,
not after everything happened. Because once everything started to happen.
No, when he gave you the $400 check and the $400 check was returned, and you said, I will replace it once I get to work. There is more than one check here. Mm-hmm. Why did you continue to deposit checks?
Well, when they all came back to me about, oh, negative this, I was like, okay, what's going on? I checked and it said how the checks were bad. Again, I didn't know that they were bad, so when I saw it, I was like, okay, I had to find a way to pay it back so, my great-grandmother won't get mad and no one else will have to get involved.
Do you want to tell me how much you owe the bank?
Okay, Your Honor. I went to the bank on the 23rd.
No, just tell me how much you owe to the bank.
It's $3,600. That's what they did.
Okay.
At this time, I've been paying on it. At this time, it's $2,300 and some change. I'm sorry.
But you've been paying on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And it started at $3,600?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your great-granddaughter pay you any money towards it?
No, she did not.
Why not?
Well, I was going to pay it back, but then she had my Aunt Janae come into my house and take a lot of my electronics.
Caption, coming up.
I would have said to myself, this doesn't look right. I don't know, or I have to ask my father, who's writing all these checks. Is she somebody he works for, or is it somebody whose checks he stole?
Janaea nods. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Maude and Angelina.
Maude Gatlin is accusing her 18-year-old great-granddaughter, Angelina Marshall, of cashing fraudulent checks with her account. Angelina claims her electronics were sold to pay for the debt.
Now, she took what electronics?
She took 3 of our TVs.
Now, you bought those TVs with this money?
No, all the stuff that she took was bought way before any of this happened. My PlayStation, my daughter's tablet, my Apple laptop, my daughter's laptop, 2 of my speakers, and 3 of our TVs.
And did she sell them, do you know?
From what I know she's probably sold a little bit of it. I'm not really sure.
Well, then I think that that's something you have to take up. You can take that up with your aunt.
And that's how we start putting some of the money into the bank of the $430. It was from some of the electronics.
Okay, so with regard to the $3,900, you paid off $400?
No, it was $3,600. And when I seen it that day, I looked on my phone, it was $3,000 and something. I went to the bank and asked them, what in the world is going on with my account?
No, I got exactly what happened and I've laid it out. After you sold the electronics, that your daughter took.
Yes, Janae.
That your daughter took from their house, and you sold them. How much were you able to put in the bank with the sold electronics?
It was $430, and she didn't take it. She was told to take it.
I don't care whether she took it or not. It doesn't matter to me. $430.
And they deleted all of my different accounts that I had within my accounts of $103 and $107.53. I had other little accounts that...
Just a second, you owed $3,600.
Yes, that's what the bank
Just to say,
said.
the bank said, and you put back in to satisfy the bad checks $430.
Exactly.
So what's owed to you is $3,200, $3,270.
And then I put another $100 on it in December because of the fact the credit people came to me and told me if I don't put something...
No.
in this account,
I just want to know what's left.
Okay.
What's left after the $430.
Okay, as of today.
3170. Thank you.
3,600 minus the 430.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, as of today, it's $2,252.04.
I am going to make you whole.
Okay.
Not the money that you paid in yourself.
Okay.
What I want to know is how much money you paid in. Zero.
No, I did pay some in because of my paychecks that did go through at the time after everything happened because I did continue working.
No, these were bad checks. These were the bad checks. They're owed $3,600.
Yes, but I did put a little bit money in.
Well, how much?
Only one of my checks went in, which was probably not even worth $100.
Well, I'm not interested in it.
It was
I'm not interested in it.
$62 to be exact. Sorry.
I'm not interested in it. Virtually no money, with the exception of perhaps one paycheck, which amounted to about $100, was put in by you.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is whether I believe that, A, you knew or should have known that these were bad checks. And I think you're a pretty smart girl, given your father's history. He gives you these checks, 2 in one day, one's for $1,200, one's for $600, one's for $300. You say, Dad, where'd you get this money from? And if you're putting your money into the bank, your money from work, which is a very good thing, that's fine, but I'm going to save up that money. I'm not going to buy electronics. I'm not going to buy anything else for the house. What I'm going to do is save that money, or at least see what happens with it. So I would have said to myself, this doesn't look right. I don't know, or I have to ask my father, who's writing all these checks. She's somebody he works for, or is it somebody whose checks he stole? Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,170. Thank you very much. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Angelina, then Maude.
What they did to us was way worse than what I did to them.
It was very hurtful, and I'm still in the stress mode about it.
They took all of our electronics, our TVs, my PlayStation, laptops, and speakers.
The truth is, I have a video showing that my niece actually voluntarily gave me all the electronics to be taken care of. She said she was going to do it, and she wasn't going to do it, which is the reason why I took the items to have everything taken care of for my mom.
My thing is, the property that she took, we bought that a couple of years back. And that shouldn't have nothing to do with what's going on now.
We're not happy people. And, to be honest with you, because of the fact that they did our mother like this, we don't have anything to do with them.
Well, all I can say is she'll never see me or my child again. And that's generations going out of her life over some petty stuff that could have been dealt with easily.
I don't know if it can be solved. God will be that answer.
Don't do your family wrong, even as much as you love them, because they raised me with her since I was 4, and they still did me wrong growing up, and they still did me wrong today. You can't trust anyone in your family, but that doesn't mean don't do them wrong.
Because I never thought my family would do this to me.
Sarah and Judy.
Another great lesson in the dangers of co-signing anything for a car, for a dog, for a bank account, because I'm sure the great-grandmother plaintiff would not have accepted checks from her previous son-in-law, knowing his background and knowing, at least she would have asked the follow-up question. So I understand the daughter's position of, hey, I know what he's been involved in, I don't want to be involved, but if that's your stance, you can't benefit from taking checks that you know are probably dirty. So, and unfortunately, the grandmother didn't get a crash course from us on the dangers of co-signing on a bank account.
Because they can not only evidently go into your bank, that particular account, but they can attach any other account.
Like she had said, they drained all of her other accounts to fulfill the debt. So there's real dangers in co-signing, even with someone that you love, like your great-granddaughter.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to judyjustice.tv. Wing her father, Neil Irwin, for personal belongings.
Judy enters.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Case number 27, Irwin versus Irwin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Irwin, this is your dad?
Yes, he is.
And you're 19?
Yes, I am.
According to what I read in your complaint, your parents divorced when you were 10.
Yes.
And your father was your primary custodian. You lived with him.
Yes, I did.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I did.
When you were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, did you live with your father?
At the age of 15, I moved out because...
Okay, so at age 15, you moved out?
Yes.
Because here you said, when I was 18, my father kicked me out of the house for no good reason.
Yes.
Guess what? Well, you just told me that you left the house when you were 15.
Yes, and I lived with my mother for 2 years, and...
Okay, so from age 15 to 17, you lived with your mother.
Yes.
Is that because you were having difficulty with your father?
Yes.
Okay, and then you went to live with your mother.
Yes.
But that didn't last.
No.
So now, at 17, you go back to your father.
Yes.
And you stayed with him until you were 18.
Yes, correct.
So far, I have the fact that your family is a little dysfunctional, but that you had certain problems.
I moved out when I was 18.
Just a second. Would that be a fair statement, that you had some problems?
No, it would not be.
Okay. What high school did you graduate from?
It's a school partnered with the National Guard for kids that are off track to get them back on track.
Did you have to pay for that school?
No, they are paid by the government.
Could you look them up for me?
Yeah, it's a residential program for youths aged 16 to 18 who've dropped out of school or who are seriously behind in credits and need to catch up quickly.
Okay, so you were dropped out of school?
No.
Or seriously behind?
Yes.
Dropped out or behind in credits.
Okay. And how old were you when you graduated from...
I was 17 years old.
And so at that point, you moved in with your father?
Yes.
And why did you leave when you were 18?
He had evicted me.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me your version of his evicting you when you were 18, because this case involves you're suing your father for items that he disposed of that were yours, and you want this court to award you $7,400 for the things that he disposed of that were yours.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me why you believe he evicted you when you were 18.
I believe he evicted me when I was 18 because I was buying my first car, and he got jealous of the car I had, and he stated that when I moved back in for the second time. He evicted me the second...
No. We're on the first time that your father evicted you, not the second time. The first time your father evicted you, I can ask him, or you want me to stay with you?
You can ask him.
Fine. Tell me why you evicted her the first time, which you did.
The main reasons would be that she agreed to pay rent, which she never did. She needed
working?
Off and on. I'd say over the past 2 years, she's probably had, from my guesstimate, 15 to 20 jobs, all ranging from an hour or a day, I think the longest being about 3 months. Can't maintain a job, would prefer to smoke pot all day in her room and hang out with her boyfriend, basically. Which at the time, for the first eviction, she did not know Corey.
Okay.
But she still does the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. That's what you indicate here. So that was the reason that you evicted her the first time. And that was maybe in June?
I would have filed that June 9th of 2021.
June. Okay. But she came back shortly thereafter, in October.
The sheriffs removed her August 13th, 2021.
Is that because you asked her to leave and she wouldn't?
It's a three-step process. And I had a 24-hour notice posted to the door after 34 days.
Well, she's your daughter.
Yeah.
So there must have been some discussion, Mr. Irwin, with her, you saying to her, listen, this is not working out.
There wasn't a discussion, Your Honor.
Was not?
I served her the first notice. We talked about it.
Oh, you talked about it?
Prior to me filing. I told her I would do it. I don't think she believed me.
She knew you wanted her to leave as a result of that discussion?
Yes.
And she didn't?
She did not.
She had lived with you off and on, with the exception of 2 years that she lived with her mother, and part of it in a residential program. It's a residential program, correct?
Yes.
When she lived with you, she was 10 years old. Can you tell me, Mr. Irwin, from the time she was 10 until the time she was 18 and she was ultimately evicted, what items in the house she purchased? Bed, TVs, anything big?
She never purchased anything.
When she came back from her mother, what did she come back with?
I believe just a few clothes and a bag. She had to kind of run back.
And to the best of your knowledge, had your daughter maintained any sort of gainful employment the last 3 years?
No.
So other than the clothes she came back with when she was 17, there were no big-ticket items?
There were a few by the time I had to evict her the second time, but I would have furnished those, being, you know, bed set, furniture,
bed.
Tempur-Pedic bed. I think that's part of what she's really wanting out of this $7,400.
Okay, so you purchased a bed?
Yes.
Because you didn't have one in the room where she was?
I was just trying to take care, yeah. I was using the room for my own purposes. I live alone until she moved back in, and usually welcoming of my daughter coming home, so I furnished a room.
Okay, so that's why you left the first time. The first time you left because he got annoyed that you were hanging around doing nothing and smoking pot.
I did pay rent,
right.
too.
Right. And weren't doing it much.
No, I was not smoking often.
We're not doing much, is what I said.
Yes, I had a job. I worked at the beginning of the year.
For how many days?
I worked there for about 3 months, and then I worked as a kennel technician for about 2 months.
What happened to both those jobs?
My dad, his alcoholism, he would never let me sleep in the room as I was paying rent, and he would lock me out. He would lock me out. He would lock me out, and he would flip the garage switch, so I wasn't able to get access to the house. I wasn't able to get clean, so I couldn't obtain the job, and my mental health wasn't there for that job, so that's why I took the kennel technician job, and that's when he evicted me.
Where are you living now?
With my boyfriend.
That's him?
Yes.
And where are you working now?
I am unemployed.
Sorry, that's easy. So now you're not working. Now nobody's locked you out. Nobody's made it impossible for you to work. And what kind of work does your boyfriend do?
He is construction. I do DoorDash.
Okay. Your boyfriend is construction?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is 20 years old.
Judy gestures for a young man to rise.
You're Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you live with?
My mom and her new husband.
How did I know that? How did I just know that? It's so perfect to be old that, I mean, I asked the questions. I could have asked the questions and answered the questions. So you and your girlfriend live with your mother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's the name of the company that you work for?
Landscape.
Do you work for them full time?
Yes, I do.
For how long?
I've been working for them about 2 months now.
2 months?
Yes.
Prior to that, what did you do?
I worked for Chewy.
Chewy, the dog products?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to that job?
I just wasn't liking the job anymore, and I thought I could do a lot harder work, and that's what I strive to do, is just continue trying to be the best person I can.
And what does your girlfriend do all day when you're out in your landscaping job for the last 2 months?
She stays busy going to the gym and making sure that everything is in tip-top shape, and just bringing me lunch when I'm on my break for work.
And you're living in your mom's house. Be a fair statement. You don't have to be a math wizard, which I am not, because you don't have enough money to move out into your own place.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your mom work?
Yes, she does.
Who else lives in the house?
Her newly husband.
Now, you have a room in your mom's house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it furnished?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who bought the furniture?
I bought the bed set, and...
Tell me when you bought the bed set.
I bought it about 2 years ago because we moved there recently.
So what you're telling me is you purchased a new mattress?
Yes.
With your earnings?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was it?
It was about $1,500.
And if you left the house, you would want to take your mattress because you bought it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wouldn't take any of the other furniture in the house because you didn't buy it.
Yes, correct.
Whether it's your dresser or a TV in your room, your parents bought that.
Yeah.
The mattress you bought.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you can sit.
Corey sits. Caption, coming up.
Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Isabel and Neil.
19-year-old Isabel Irwin claims her father, Neil Irwin, owes for personal belongings.
Now, I'm going to sort of pull this together. Eventually, you moved back into the house after an initial eviction, and you weren't doing well, I assume.
Yes.
And then you came back a couple of months later and asked your father if you could move back in.
Yes.
And he said, okay.
Yes.
And that didn't work out. He was unhappy with the arrangement.
I was paying rent before. He was kicking me out, so I decided not to pay rent.
Whatever the reason, he wasn't happy with it. You were gone for a couple of months.
He evicted me, yes.
Yes. Well, he evicted you for a reason, Miss Irwin. You have to stop being a baby. He evicted you for a reason. He took you back because you went there. You said, I have no place to go. I assume, without going into specifics, because you look a little frightened, and I don't have to get that crazed with you because it sounds like a very sad situation. He said, it's not working out again. I want you to leave. And when you left, you did not, according to you, take your stuff. And your father, at some point after he received a text message from you, which I assume you have, sir.
I do.
Which said, have a nice life. After he received that, waited a while and disposed.
That was a statement I made because I asked him to help me fill up my tires because they needed air, and I saw him pull into the Safeway parking lot and leave with his groceries, and he never helped me.
Okay. So you said, have a nice life. And then you want a whole bunch of things from the house. Now, I want you to tell me, with your limited work history, which you have, hardly enough to sustain yourself, because in October you came back to him and said, I need a place to live. So I want you to tell me what you purchased.
I purchased the Tempur-Pedic bed.
And who did you purchase it from?
My father.
You purchased it from your father?
Yes, he made the original purchase and said I could just give him the money, which I did.
Okay. And how much did you give him for the mattress?
$3,000.
That's incorrect.
Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work. You don't work.
Isabel hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
The first one
This doesn't tell me anything.
Transaction that
this doesn't tell me anything. You want to tell me that tells me nothing. You want to give that to her. I would have to find credible, Miss Irwin, that you had managed to save from your job that you had for 3 months while you claim you were paying your father rent $3,000.
It was the leftover money from me purchasing my car.
Oh, I don't believe that. For 1 second. Okay, you want to tell me about the mattress, sir?
Okay, simply put, I got one for myself when she wasn't living with me, and the mattress I furnished her with, it was a floor model. He gave me a good deal on it. I think it retails about $3,500. I got it for $2,300. My daughter and I did have an agreement that she could purchase the mattress for $1,800. However, as you may have figured out, that did not occur.
And this was after she moved back in October, or when she was...
Yep. Yes, it was.
After she moved back in October?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The mattress is staying where it is. Okay. Now let's go to dresser, nightstand, and TV. So you acknowledge that none of those things you purchased, bed, dresser, nightstand, and TV.
No, I did not purchase that.
Okay. Now that's your father's. He threw out my clothes, shoes, and jewelry. Now, you were evicted.
Yes.
Was it an actual eviction? Did marshals come to the house?
No. I got served the eviction notice on June 30th. He illegally locked me out.
No. Just June 30th.
Yes.
So on June 30th, you were given an eviction notice that said that you had to be out on what date?
In 30 days.
Okay. So far, is that correct, Mr. Irwin?
It's fairly correct. I do have the 30-day no-cause notice to quit that she was served.
Okay. And on what date did you leave?
On July 1st, because he had thrown a camera.
Just a second.
At my boyfriend.
You left on July 1st?
Yes.
Tell me how you left.
I packed a small bag and I had left.
You packed a small bag that contained what?
A few of my clothes and whatever I could grab for a few nights.
And where did you go?
To my boyfriend's house.
So you went to Corey's house?
Yes.
Do you have a laptop?
I do not.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, I do.
Did you take the phone?
Yes, I did.
You took some clothes with you, and you knew that you had an eviction notice, correct?
Yes.
Tell me what jewelry you allege your father threw out.
He threw out my necklace my boyfriend had bought me. He
Okay.
threw out...
Which boyfriend?
This boyfriend, Corey.
Tell me about the necklace.
He had purchased it for my birthday.
Okay. Stand up, Corey. Tell me about the necklace you purchased.
I had purchased it from K Jewelers. I had purchased it for about $250.
Okay. When?
On her birthday, just a little before.
When's her birthday?
February 20th.
Did she wear the necklace?
Yes, Your Honor.
Every day?
No, just on occasions, whenever we'd go out and do stuff and all that.
When she came to your house with her bag, did you ever see the necklace again?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Do you know where this necklace is?
I do not.
Did you throw away a necklace?
I guess anything's possible because when she left and sent me the "have a nice rest of your life" text, it looked like a hoarder's room, so I guess anything could have been in there.
Who cleaned it up?
I did.
Didn't see a necklace?
Didn't see a necklace.
Okay. Were you looking for anything of value?
I wasn't looking for anything. To me, it looked like old clothes that probably hadn't been worn in years.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear out the room.
Fine. Have a seat. Other than that necklace, what other jewelry did you have?
I had some rings I purchased from Ojai, California on a trip I previously took for my dad.
Okay. What else? You took a bag of clothes. What specific? Because you had jewelry, shoes. I assume you took some shoes with you because you were going to be there. Well, you were wearing a pair of shoes.
Yes, I was. I was wearing my old shoes.
Okay. When you got rid of all of the stuff, Mr. Irwin, you didn't go through any of it?
No, I did not.
Did you give her any notice that she had 10 days, 2 weeks to get her stuff?
I did not give her notice.
On what date did you dispose of all of her stuff?
It would have been around July 20th, about 20 days after or so.
Okay. Well, but even according to your eviction notice, she had 30 days to vacate.
Well, if you read the actual eviction notice, it's 5 days. After 5 days, you have to file another part of the eviction notice, which is unlawful detainer, meaning that she is now there illegally. So she left within the 5 days, willfully.
Caption, coming up.
I'm 19 years old, and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Isabel and Neil.
19-year-old Isabel Irwin has accused her father, Neil Irwin, of throwing out her personal property. Neil claims he paid for Isabel's belongings.
Okay, so you didn't file the next step?
I did not.
So she left within 5 days. That was the
Yes.
agreement. And she just left the place a mess.
A mess, yes.
Okay, who is this?
This is my mother, Janice Leonard.
Could you stand up, please, for a moment? Miss Leonard, how many grandkids do you have?
Well, from Neil to, I have 6.
Did you and Miss Irwin get along?
Oh, yes. She came to, we lived in Idaho at the time. I had an equestrian center. So every summer she would be there all summer long. We taught her to ride. She had the best horses. She jumped. She was a fantastic rider. But as the years went on, it was just getting more difficult. When she turned 14, her behavior changed drastically.
Can you describe, I know that you moved back to where your son lived. And according to the answer, he gave you a key to the house. He was in Las Vegas on a trip.
That's correct.
Could you describe when you went into the house what Miss Irwin's room looked like?
Every time I would go over there, the house would be worse every single day. And there was a very strong, pungent smell, so I thought the dogs were going to the bathroom. Her room was a total disaster. There's clothes literally strewn, I don't know how tall, but 12 inches maybe. Nothing was ever picked up. And one day, before Neil came back, I said, this place is really smelling bad. And later I learned that they were smoking marijuana. They would be in the bedroom and giggling and in the bathroom together. And when I would come, she'd only be there for maybe 20 minutes and they both would leave. There was no respect, I have to say. I've seen her in action and she can be very nice and very polite, but there's a whole nother side that is actually very scary, to the point when she was, years ago, 14, my husband and I were locking our bedroom door because we were afraid of her when she stayed.
Okay, thank you. Isabel, is that what they call you, or they have a
Yes.
Isabel. Word of advice, caution, you're 19?
Yes.
You look older. That's not a compliment. You seem like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you.
But I see issues there of blaming everyone else, and it's very possible that your father and your mother and other people share the blame in your issues. That's possible. But at this point in your life, Isabel, you're just starting, and you can either spend your life blaming somebody else, parents, grandparents, siblings, for where you are, or you can say, I have to get myself some help and put a period, because I'm 19 years old and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years. Your father looks better. Your grandmother looks better. They look appropriate to their age and stage and clearer. So I think that you should get some help. I also think, Mr. Irwin, there were things in her room, and believe me, I have seen rooms like that. You know, I have been involved with lots of kids and grandchildren. Most of them grow up, and once they get a place of their own, they walk around with a bottle of Windex and Bounty and clean up after everybody's fingerprints. But if they're living in their parents' house or their grandparents' house, they live like slobs. Sometimes that never changes. But, you know, there's messy, and then there is dysfunctional. And what you are describing is dysfunctional. And I think if your daughter was honest, she would look and she would say, that's dysfunctional. You were in the room, Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stand up. Would you describe your girlfriend's room in her father's house as evidence of being dysfunctional? Not a nom. Right here, Corey.
Okay.
Does her room look like your room?
No, it does not, Your Honor.
Okay. Would your mother permit your room to look like her room? It's not an answer, Corey. Would your mother permit your room that you're sharing to look like the room that was in his house where your girlfriend lived and you stayed occasionally?
No, Your Honor.
No. Okay, sit down. You should have looked for the necklace. He gave me an honest answer to everything that I asked him. So the necklaces was probably mixed in with a load of garbage that was there.
To say the least.
That was accumulated. It was like a hoarder. So I'm
Your
awarding
Honor,
you.
I have a
you give
video
it to your
of the
boyfriend.
room.
$250 to go and buy her a new necklace. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Neil, then Isabel.
I agree with the judge's decision 100%. I think it was very fair.
I think it wasn't fair.
She has so much more potential than what she's doing right now.
I was just trying to get my belongings, and he literally just never wanted me to do it.
She's a great kid, and all reality, she's just making some wrong decisions right now.
I made any really bad decisions. It's all been influenced by my father. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I hope she grows up, and I love her.
I know I need to grow up, but he evicted me, gave me 2 days, and I didn't want to make my dad mad.
Sarah and Judy.
I hope you weren't talking about me when you were thinking of your grandchildren keeping messy rooms. I try and be neat and nice and organized.
Well, I wasn't thinking about you today as a law school graduate, but I do remember when you were in college and you were staying with us rather than in the dorm, keeping your door closed because it looked like somebody hit your room with a Mixmaster.
Maybe just a few too many open suitcases, I guess.
Yeah, open, unpacked suitcases. But got older and more respectful, and then you had your own apartment, and I remember visiting your apartment, and I said, who is it that lives here? I couldn't figure out who lived here. It's not the same person who lived with me.
It's a maturity thing, and I think I was shocked to see that she was only 19 years old, in line with what you said to her, that she looks older beyond her years, and some difficulty can do that to you, but you have to take accountability and do what you can to make your life organized and set yourself up for success.
That, you know, all that is true. I'm not sure that she has all the tools to do that, and I don't know if she has anybody there to guide her. It's too bad because she seems like an intelligent young woman, and her grandmother certainly portrayed a picture of a child who was accomplished when she was younger, and then something happened. You know.
I hope she turns it around.
Hope she turns it around. I hope it's not other issues.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to judyjustice.tv. Wing her client, Dallas Lee, for child care services, late fees, and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2175, Grimm versus Lee.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Miss Grimm, in what state do you live?
Missouri.
In what county?
Jackson.
You have a daycare center.
An in-home childcare, yes.
For how long?
I started September of 2022.
What is your house like?
I have a single-family home with a finished basement and then like an attic type. It's 2 bedrooms.
House has 2 bedrooms?
No, up in the attic has 2 bedrooms. It's technically a 3-bedroom house, but it has made 6 rooms.
And how many children do you have?
I currently have 7.
How old are they?
14, 13, 11, 8, 5, and 3, and 1, 18 months.
3 and 18 months.
I'm sorry, she's 4 now. She just turned 4.
So the older ones go to school. Does the 5-year-old go to school?
Yes.
And the 8-year-old goes to school?
Correct.
So you have 2 little ones at home?
My 4-year-old goes to early childhood, half a day.
So you have 1 child at home during the day?
Correct.
And 1 half a day?
Yes.
And you have 3 children?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
I now have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
And those were the children that you enrolled in her daycare center?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Grimm, what kind of licensing do you have, an application that you have to make in order to run an in-home daycare center in Missouri?
So in the state of Missouri, as long as you have under 6 children, you do not have to have a license.
As long as you have 6 children in total in the house, or 6 children
that I'm watching?
That you're watching?
Correct. Because my school children are not considered watching, like under the law.
Well, you certainly have to watch your 18-month-old.
Yes, he's the only one. That's why I've always kept 5 children or less.
It is your claim that Miss Lee entered her children into your program. She paid you for a certain period of time. She owes you for 2 weeks.
Correct.
And were those 2 weeks that her children were actually in care?
Correct.
Which 2 weeks were those?
They are the last 2 weeks of October.
Of 2022?
Correct.
And the children were in your program?
Correct.
Miss Lee, were the children in Miss Grimm's program the last 2 weeks in October?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
Did you pay her for the last 2 weeks in October?
No, ma'am, I did not.
How much were you supposed to pay her?
For the last 2 weeks was supposed to be $600 because our agreement was $600 every 2 weeks.
Okay, so it was supposed to be $600.
Yes, ma'am.
So now the ball is in your court so far. Ms. Grimm, we're not talking about a late fee. We're just talking about these 2 weeks.
Correct.
First, tell me your reason for removing the children.
I removed my children out of her care because my children, every time that I picked them up, it was either they were harmed or injured, or my son, my 3-year-old, would tell me something had happened while I was gone at work in her care. My son had told me on numerous accounts that she hit him herself, and then he also told me that her 15-year-old son, or 14, I'm sorry, had also spanked him. And when I did ask him, well, I asked her actually, I said, "Who is Trey?" Because he said, "Mommy, Trey hit me. We were getting in the car." They normally do help me get in the car with my 3 children, seeing I have one who's barely walking.
You get going all over the place.
Yes, ma'am. So they normally help me get in the car with my children, so they were outside with us. And my son said, "Mommy, Trey hit me like this." I didn't know any Trey, so I asked her, "Who is Trey?" And she said, "That's my son." And he said, "That's me." He was standing right there next to her. He said, "I'm Trey." And I said, "Bryson said that you hit him." And he said, "Yes, I hit Bryson." He said, "I popped him because Bryson wasn't doing right. Bryson didn't want to go to timeout."
On what day was that?
That was on October 25th.
And what was the last day that your children attended?
October 27th.
Okay, so despite the fact that Trey, your Trey?
Yes, ma'am.
Slapped the 3-year-old, said that he slapped the 3-year-old, you let him stay there for an extra 2 days.
Yes, ma'am.
Just that's it, yes. Now, where were you working that you had your children in daycare?
I was working as a CNA.
What is that?
A certified nurse's assistant.
Where?
It's a
nursing
like a
home?
Rehab. Yes, ma'am.
When did you start working there?
I started working there in September.
September of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Beginning of September?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you stop working there?
I stopped working there October 27th. That was my last day.
If I were to call, would they tell me that they terminated you or you quit?
I quit.
Did you quit on the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about now? Are you working?
I am.
Who are you working for?
I work through a temp agency, working per diem at different locations as a CNA.
And who takes care of your children?
My stepmom. My children,
Just a second. And when did you start that job?
I started that job about 4 weeks ago.
So in December?
Yes, ma'am. Late November or so.
Caption, coming up.
You left the children there until the end of October. It couldn't have been so disturbing for you, madam, to leave the children there until the end of October, another 6 weeks, if you felt as if they weren't getting adequate care. And if you did, that would be on you.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Shanice and Dallas.
Shanice Grimm claims her client, Dallas Lee, refused to pay for child care services. Dallas is countersuing for lost wages and emotional distress.
So a relative has been taking care of your children?
Yes, ma'am. Not all 3 of them. I had to send my 2 sons because I had to rearrange my daycare situation. I had to send them back to Texas to be with their dad.
So 2 of them went back to their father?
Yes, ma'am.
And who do you live with here?
I live with my dad.
What does he do?
My dad is a nuclear medicine technologist.
So your stepmom takes care of one of the children?
My 5-month-old daughter, yes, ma'am.
Who's in the house?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to tell me why you didn't pay her for the last 2 weeks.
So my children began in her care September 12th. September 13th, she sent me a text message while I was at work, and she said, I want to let you know Lil Mama was bit today by my 1-year-old on her cheek. She sent me a picture. I have this.
Not interested. I mean, it's not that I'm disinterested. It's that don't show me anything from September, madam. You kept your children with her into October and through the end of October. And if anything was so concerning to you that you thought your children would be at risk, I'm certain that you would have discussed it with your father, and your father would have said to you, don't speak. Okay. And your father would have said to you, if you have a problem with the children, don't let them stay there. What you did, okay, I can see that you're dying to tell me something. What?
Yes, ma'am.
Dallas's father, Gary.
My daughter had no other choice but to keep her children in care because I work a full-time job.
Let me explain something to you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Your daughter was living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. There is always an alternative, sir. I have young grandchildren, and I would say if I was legitimately concerned for their health and safety, I don't care what it is, stay home and take care of your children. You'll have a roof over your head until you find appropriate daycare. And if you didn't do that, then you're not much of a grandfather.
Well,
you can't use something that happened in September or early October to say, well, that's why I didn't pay the last 2 weeks. So you can't make excuses, sir. I'm telling you, I'm a grandmother and I've had little children. I don't care what you had to do. Quit my job, whatever that job is, and say, we'll all stay home and take care of the children until you find, or you stay home and take care of the children. I'll provide you with whatever basics you need until you get the right daycare. And if you didn't do that, don't tell me that your daughter didn't have a choice. There is always a choice when your babies are concerned.
In our estimation at that time, we were giving her some hard life lessons because she does now have 3 children, and there are going to be some difficulties in this living situation. There are going to be some things. So what we were doing, we're giving her some tough love and saying, hey, you cannot give up just because the chips are down or because things happen. You have to try to figure things out.
Well, that would be on you. That's not on her. This is not her daughter. It's your daughter.
Absolutely.
And your grandchildren, sir.
Absolutely.
And if you want to teach her some real hard lessons and say you got to stay with the daycare, even though you're dissatisfied.
We said give her a chance because it was the first day.
So.
It was the first incident, first day. We said give her a chance. Things happen sometimes.
What I don't want to hear is from you, who seem like a very intelligent man, a working man, is my daughter had no choice. Your daughter has a choice. Her choice is to say to you, Dad, please, I have to find the right daycare. I have to stop working at this job. I may need a month. You may not have liked her previous irresponsible behavior, right?
Correct.
But the deed is done. She got 3 young children.
Beautiful children.
Right? So what you do is when you have 3 young, beautiful children, you protect them.
Absolutely.
And if you're not smart enough to protect them yourself, you got to rely on your father who's smart enough to do that. What I'm saying to you is your daughter used this lady's services and she has to pay for it. She may not send her children back, but your statement that you were so anxious to make to me, which is my daughter had no choice, she did have a choice, sir. She did have a choice. Before I would let my children stay in a place where I actually believed that they were being abused, because that's what she's suggesting. I mean, she's not suggesting that this young man, who I'm not condoning hitting a 3-year-old, gave him a slap on the rear end. I'm not condoning that. But there were no injuries to him. I don't know whether you've done it. I don't know whether she's done it to her child. You certainly don't want a daycare provider's child to discipline a 3-year-old.
Absolutely.
That's not what it's about.
But after the first incident, what we were trying to teach her is that you don't just throw in the towel, because Ms. Graham was just starting her service up. And
September 5th.
So we understand that there are going to be some hiccups and some things that she has to fix as she comes across them. And so she's a young lady. My daughter's a young lady. So as an older man, I'm trying to support 2 individuals to build their lives up. And so I told my daughter, I don't like that she was bitten, but at least she came forward very quickly and told you. So leave them there for now. And if anything else transpires, then we can start to look at things then. Yes, ma'am.
Who do you work for, sir?
I work for the Veterans Administration.
And how long have you worked for the Veterans Administration?
21 years.
Do you get paid every 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say your boss at the VA all of a sudden decided they didn't like the work you were doing, and you left and they owed you 2 weeks' pay because you had actually worked for the 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And you sued them for those 2 weeks. You worked there. You said, well, we didn't like the quality of his work for those 2 weeks. Well, then you fire him, but you pay him. It's like going to a restaurant. My favorite analogy is you go into your favorite restaurant where you get a steak. And you order a steak, medium, Pittsburgh medium. Steak comes, you cut into it, you take a bite. Oh my God, you say, I don't like the way this tastes. You take the plate, you spit out the bite if you're smart. Call the waiter over and say, this is a bad steak, right?
Absolutely.
And the waiter takes it off the bill, or you order something else. Now you cut into that same steak, you taste, you say, this tastes terrible. Maybe the next bite will taste better. Before you know it, you've finished the whole steak. Waiter comes over to take your clean plate. You say, this steak was awful. I didn't like it. It was bad. Well, what'd you eat it for? But if you ate the steak, you got to pay for it. If you take a bite and say it's no good, I'm in your corner. Send it back. But your daughter ate the steak. She used her services for 2 weeks and didn't pay her.
Well, we can't say that she used her services because there are other pieces of evidence that we have.
Well, you mean you're talking about that sometimes she left the children with her husband?
Yeah.
Yeah. Baloney. Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work.
Gary shrugs. Caption coming up.
If you're not satisfied with the service, you stop using the service. If you continue to use the service despite the fact that you're not satisfied with it, you gotta pay for it. That's America. You got paid, your father got paid, she gets paid.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Shanice and Dallas.
Shanice Grimm has accused her client, Dallas Lee, of refusing to pay for childcare services. Dallas claims Shanice wrongfully disciplined and neglected her children.
Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work.
Absolutely.
And she had the benefit of daycare from this lady that enabled your daughter to make money.
But if we're talking breach of contract, the contract was breached when the husband watched the child. And
now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Now you're making excuses. Now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Your daughter worked to make money. You worked those last 2 weeks, didn't stay home with your grandchildren. You made money.
Absolutely.
The only one that didn't make money and had her 3 children for those 2 weeks was the plaintiff. She ate the steak. She used the service. She didn't have anybody else. It's not as if, well, I had to hire somebody else to take care of the kids the last 2 weeks, even though it was in my deal. So that's why I'm not paying them. She worked, you worked, she worked. And if her husband, if she ran out to the store and left her husband, unless you're telling me that that was such a breach of the agreement that your daughter took the children out of her program. Did she? No, she did not. She didn't say, I'm not allowing your husband to take care of my children, even if it's just for an hour. I'm taking my children out of the program. Dad, can you help me out for the next couple of weeks until I find something else? But you can't eat the steak, which she did. Now you can sit down.
Can I say one more thing?
Not if you want to continue to look foolish. Now you're not teaching her responsibility.
Well,
now you're not teaching her responsibility. I don't want to have to teach you responsibility.
Well, you don't have to. I'm a veteran. I know what responsibility is. But when you are promoting your program as one thing but your service is another. I cannot say that if Bobby Flay is cooking the steak.
It doesn't matter who was cooking the steak. It was whether you ate the steak. It's whether you ate the steak.
I get what you're saying, Judge, but if it's promoted as Bobby Flay cooking it and Bob Berger cooked it, and I don't like the taste, then those are two different things.
Oh, no, sir. If you're promoting Bobby Flay as cooking the steak and you find, or the hamburger, and you find out that Bobby Flay's younger brother was cooking the steak or was cooking the burger, and either way, if the burger is no good, you're not going to eat it. But you can't eat it and say, well, I really thought I was getting a Bobby Flay hamburger, and I didn't get a Bobby Flay hamburger, so I'm not going to pay for it, even though I ate it. Now you can sit down. How much is 2 weeks' worth of care? $600?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff, $600. You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is ridiculous. Money owed for lost wages, emotional distress on behalf of the children. You shouldn't have emotional distress on behalf of the children, madam. You're their mother. The first time you had an inkling that you felt that your young children were being neglected in the plaintiff's care, what you should have done was remove them. Remove them. First time you felt as if 3-year-old shouldn't have been subject of a slap by this young man? Great. Remove them. You found that the baby, the little one, was bitten by her little one. You say, that's not watching them carefully enough, because they, I think, are supposed to be separated, correct?
Yes. No, we were all in one room, so they weren't having to be separated, because with me only having less than 4 children, there was no way of separating because there was only one me.